Okay, folks, we are back. This is Street to Strategy, episode 11. I went to a retirement for one of our old dispatchers, Pam DeLong. Got to see a lot of VPD people yesterday. It was good to see those folks. I got a lot of positive feedback about the podcast. People and the law enforcement community love it. I love to hear that, and just so much positivity. Also, my book will be dropping on January 6th, and so I'll start putting links on here soon. They're printing them as we speak, and so I look forward to each one of you getting a copy. Let's go ahead and get with it. So, ladies and gentlemen, today we have the privilege of hearing the story of a man whose life has been defined by service, integrity, and unwavering commitment to his community. He was born in March of 1964 in Exeter, California, to Richard and Barbara Gilbert. His childhood was shaped by his parents devoted to public service. His father, a young law enforcement officer whose career spanned the Exeter Police Department, the Tulare County Sheriff's Department, and ultimately the California Highway Patrol. And his mother, a dedicated homemaker who later became a licensed vocational nurse. Growing up in Visalia, he attended Washington Mutual Elementary, Mineral King, and Valley Oak Junior High before becoming part of the very first graduating class of Golden West High School in 1982. There, he found his passion through the FFA program, serving in multiple leadership roles, showing steers at the Tulare County Fair, competing on dairy and horse judging teams, and being mentored by two teachers who would leave a lasting impact on his life. Although he once envisioned a career as a National Park Service ranger, he ultimately discovered that his true calling was law enforcement, a legacy deeply rooted in his family. After earning his associate's degree in criminal justice from the College of Sequoias, he entered the Tulare Kings County Police Academy, where he excelled as a squad leader and graduated 9th in his class. From there, he embarked on a remarkable 37-year law enforcement career. He served with the Tulare County Sheriff's Office, the Laguna Beach Police Department, and most notably, the Visalia Police Department, where he worked patrol, traffic, SWAT, property crimes, narcotics, and a specialized gang enforcement. His expertise led him to major investigations, high-risk operations, and ultimately to the Tulare County District Attorney's Office, where in 2023, he was honored as Investigator of the Year. His legacy of service continues through his children and extended family, many of whom proudly serve in law enforcement as well. Today, Jeff enjoys retirement with his wife, Jill, their combined family, and their beloved grandchildren, spending time traveling the United States in their fifth-wheel RV. It is an honor to welcome him today. Please join me in recognizing Jeff Gilbert. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks, J Mac. Appreciate it. It's good to be here.
Man, dude, that's a lot to get out there, man. You've had a lot of career, brother.
I did a little bit.
Let's start at the beginning. What was life like growing up in Exeter and Visalia in the 60s and 70s?
Yeah, I was born in 64 at Exeter District Hospital. My dad was a Exeter police officer in 1963, so we lived in Exeter. In 64, I believe, he went to the Sheriff's Department and worked, I don't even think he worked a year there, and then he, in 65, went to the CHP Academy. So I really didn't grow up much in Exeter. However, my mom's parents, they lived in Exeter. My grandfather was a rancher. He had 500 acres there off of Avenue 256 between Farmersville and Exeter. So, yeah, I guess I can say that I did spend a lot of time in Exeter, but I didn't grow up there.
Yeah.
I mainly grew up in Visalia.
Got it.
When my dad got on with the CHP Academy in 65, he went to the academy, graduated, and he was assigned to the Redwood City office.
Okay. Yeah, up north.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we lived up there from 65 until about 67, I think it was. And my brother was born in Redwood City in 66, my brother Bill. And so in 68 or so, we came back to Visalia, transferred back to Visalia. I forgot to mention my uncle, his brother, was a CHP officer, started in the mid-50s.
Oh, wow.
And he's the one that actually talked my dad into leaving the sheriff's department and going with the CHP. He said, much better retirement system, the pay's much better.
Well, shoot, I bet
benefits
you
are much better.
Double in pay back then. Yeah.
Well, I don't remember how much he was making, but it was probably about $600 a month.
I will tell you something. You know what's funny about TCSO? I was only there a year, but I still remember each check was $816.
Yeah.
Dude, by me coming to Visalia, I took a $1,200 a month pay raise. I mean, that's a lot of money. You know what I mean? And so,
but continuing on, so we moved back to Visalia in 67 or 68, and we lived in a house on Linwood that was rented. My uncle and aunt owned the place. It was on Linwood, south of Tulare, and it was on an acre.
Okay, I know where you're at. Yeah.
Just south of Tulare. And all that was agricultural land back then. So I was just a kid.
So now that's like close to where there's like the
4.
convalescent hospital there is right there, like the old folks home. It's right there at Tulare Linwood.
I think it's farther.
Like so closer to like down the street from Rollertown and all that.
Oh yeah,
right?
it's south of there. Yeah, south of Tulare.
Okay, got it.
But we ended up moving in about 1968 to another house at 1517 South Clark Street.
I know right where you're
Paradise.
at. Yeah.
Paradise. And
so you went west side to east side.
Yeah. And then and that was all agricultural land back then.
Yeah.
Eskandarians owned a big piece of property right there. And I went to kindergarten through 3rd grade at Washington Elementary School.
Got it.
And then I can remember riding my bicycle to school when I was in, 1st grade, 2nd grade, all the way through until we ended up moving out farther east. But those were fun times in the 60s. And then, of course, in about 73, we moved to off of Pinkham and Paradise.
Okay. Yeah.
And that was just a little county island back then. Walnut groves all around us. Matter of fact, where you lived on East Tulare, that was all walnut groves.
Yeah, because for the folks at home, years later, I moved into a condo that was on the east side of Pinkham School, and there was me, Ron Epp, and I think somebody else going through a divorce in there. So we used to call it Divorce Row. Your dad served in several law enforcement agencies, Exeter PD, Tulare County Sheriff's Department, and the CHP. How does his career shape your view of law enforcement as a kid?
I think growing up, one thing my dad didn't do was bring his work home with him. I don't ever remember him coming home and being disgruntled or upset about anything.
Yeah.
Of course, I was small, so I don't really remember too much. But as I got older, I can remember it wasn't embarrassing, but it was, if kids knew your dad was a cop, it was kind of like kids can be cruel.
Yeah, it wasn't cool. It wasn't a cool thing. Yeah.
I can remember in high school, my freshman year, my dad will deny this, but he picked me up from Redwood High School because I went there 1 year before I went to Golden West. And right there on Giddings, before they had the overpass walkway.
Oh, yeah.
It was just a crosswalk there. And I remember some kid, he just gotten off. He still had his uniform on, and we had a Ford Falcon pickup or something, and the kid stopped in the crosswalk and kind of challenged him. And there was kids everywhere. And my dad pulls over and gets out and he goes, "Hey, state traffic officer Gilbert." No. And he waves the guy over and, chewed him out and stuff. And I just kind of sunk down in the seat.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, oh God, I hope I don't know anybody. But other than that, watching him in law enforcement made me want to do the
I
job.
was going to say, probably planted the seed, I would think.
You say you were born to serve. I was literally born to serve.
Big time. Big time. Well, and I would tell you this, and we'll get to it here in a minute, but I get, when I started at VPD, a lot of the older guys, I didn't like them. They were pretty mean to a lot of us newer dudes. But from me to you, one thing about you, Jeff, you've always been very cool to me. And I'll always remember that. And, you just always had this like easygoing way about you. And I think it translated very well to law enforcement. I loved you. And then also, I loved Louie, and you guys were partners on the bikes. And your mom was a homemaker and later became an LVN. What did you learn from her example of service and dedication?
Oh, good question. My mom was obviously a dedicated person, a homemaker, and later on she became an LVN at the Visalia Medical Clinic. But she was just a loving, or is.
Are they both still with us?
Still alive.
Oh, wow. Okay.
She's a sweet lady. Always has been. Growing up, just a great influence in my brother and my lives.
Yeah.
Along with my dad too, but she was always the one there.
Yeah.
My dad was at work. She's, I'd say, a big part of who I became.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that, man. One thing about you, it's like, I just remember like every time you were always around, we always would laugh and have a good time. And I think that just translates well to law enforcement, because I know me and you both, we worked with a lot of dudes that were wound way too tight. Yeah. And we didn't do that. Now, there was times we had to handle business, and that's the name of the game. But when it's not life and death, there's nothing wrong with, hey, let's lighten up. Yeah. Let's treat each other well. And this, unfortunately, in law enforcement, a lot of times that doesn't happen.
Right. And you got to have fun.
You do.
You can't be wound up all the time or you're going to have medical problems. And my dad was never, again, he never brought it home. Later on in his career, it affected him.
Yeah.
Things would affect him, and I could tell. But my mom was always that constant person.
Yeah.
Sounds
like me. Like she probably would have been the backbone of the family then.
Yeah. My dad was the backbone, but my mom was just, like I said, a sweetheart.
Yeah.
And we learned a lot from her too. I mean, she's just a constant, down to earth person and wasn't wound up.
Got it.
So that's how I kind of got a easygoing demeanor, I would say.
No, man, you do.
I can get wound up.
No. I've seen you wound up. Yeah. Your brother Bill also built a long law enforcement career. What was your relationship like growing up?
I was mean to him. No.
What's the age difference between you two?
I was born in 64, 66, so about 2 years difference, somewhere in there.
Okay.
No, we had a good relationship. You got to remember, we grew up in the 60s and 70s. Kids went outside and played. Yeah. We found things to do. We didn't have video games. My dad couldn't afford to buy us an Atari or whatever they were called back then. We made our own fun. And Bill and I, we played a lot of baseball together. We played street football, street baseball with the neighbor kids. We had a local ditch that we'd hang out.
Oh, yeah.
In Walnut Grove. And good God, we got in a lot of trouble there. But Mom,
well, you know what? And think about this, man. I used to take off on my bike at 5 years old and then be gone all day.
Yeah.
Once my kid was 5 years old, I wouldn't let her out of my sight, bro.
No.
I mean, we live in a different time.
Different times.
But you're right. Back then, I mean, my mom would be like, all right, man, there's the bike. Hit it, dude. Yeah. And I'd just take off. And
we'd go out and shoot BB guns, play Army men, build forts. I mean, but yeah, my brother and I had a good relationship. What
agency did he work for?
He started at Tulare County Sheriff's, and the only year they had layoffs, and he was one of them.
Got it.
So he ended up, his first wife was from Oklahoma. He'd met her while he was in the service. They went back to Oklahoma and lived there, and he got a job with Edmond PD.
Got it.
So,
Is that where he did his career?
That's where he did his career. Yeah.
Got it. Looking back, what values or lessons do you think your parents instilled in you at your earliest age?
Be truthful was the big thing, have some integrity, do what you say you're going to do.
Oh, yeah. And that translates well to law enforcement. That's for sure.
Don't be a quitter.
Yeah.
Yeah. They just showed a lot of love towards us. And, they tried to instill good principles, Well,
it sounds like it. We got two sons that end up in law enforcement. Yeah.
And my mom thinks, both my parents are proud of how Bill and I turned out and never got in trouble with the law.
Yeah. Well, you know what, man? Like, again, I just think it's you. You've got that good. You always were just laid back. You always had this easy going. I remember you used to laugh a lot. We used to laugh for the folks at home. We would get dispatched to traffic collisions, and fire and ambulance would get to roll code 3, and we would have to literally sit there at the light, let them go by us because we can't go with lights and sirens.
Right.
And remember, we used to complain about that so much.
Yeah.
And but it's interesting. John Q. Citizen has no concept of that.
Right.
And, you were part of the first graduating class of Golden West High School. What was it like being there when that school first opened?
It was awesome because there wasn't a lot of kids there.
Yeah, because they did you like the freshmen.
We had
then
the
next year
freshmen.
was the sophomores. And,
No, it was freshmen and sophomores.
Okay.
That first year, 1979. So there wasn't a lot of kids there. We were out in the sticks back then. And so I don't even know if there's any kids that were even driving yet. There might have been a few, but everybody knew everybody. And
was Epp part of that first class?
Epp was a year behind me, I think.
Got it.
A year or two. He might have been 2 years behind me. He's my brother's age.
Okay.
And they played sports together. We were out in the sticks, and everybody knew everybody. There was no real gang problem back then.
Oh, yeah. It was a different time.
It was the Cowboys versus the Mexicans.
Yeah.
That was what it was, but...
Did they have Ivanhoe kids coming in back then? Yeah.
Yeah.
I would tell you this for the folks at home. Interesting enough, I was a good freestyle wrestler when I was young. And so I got to go to a tournament at Golden West that first year it was built. And I remember we were all like, wow, man, it was a brand new school and it was cool. But I remember you're right, it was out in the sticks. There wasn't nothing else.
No.
All that other stuff that's out there now, all that stuff didn't exist.
No.
You know what I mean? You played football and golf, but your real passion was FFA. What drew you to that?
I'd say my 8th grade year, I remember at Valley Oak, and that was a fairly new school too. Being up in the library, and some kids from Redwood, I believe, from the FFA came there and talked to us, and I was really impressed by the organization. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to get involved in that. And I liked agricultural type things. Like I said, my grandfather was a rancher, and so I thought this would be interesting. So I started taking ag science classes my freshman year at Redwood, and I got involved with FFA. It wasn't until my sophomore year that we were a brand new high school, so I became an officer. I ultimately ended up being the president of our chapter.
Oh, wow.
In my senior year.
Were you raising animals and all that? Okay.
I raised animals my sophomore year through my freshman year in college.
Cows, pigs, what are we talking?
Yeah, I raised steers.
Okay.
And then my grandpa and I were in the sheep business for a short period of time, and we had, 8 ewes and a ram or something. And one of the lambs I showed my freshman year in college just to make some extra money.
Yeah. Good for you.
Yeah.
You showed steers at the Tulare County Fair for 3 years. Any memorable or funny moments from those fair days?
One funny moment was, I think it was my senior year. I had a steer. I could never tame that thing down. I worked with it and worked with it and worked with it. It would never want to lead.
Yeah.
So we'd put it behind the tractor and it would lead just fine, and like nothing. But then I'd take it off, untie it from the tractor and start to lead it, and it'd buck its head and take off on me. So we get to the fair, and I'm going, oh, this is going to be fun. And we get in the stall, and I take him out to weigh him. We all had to weigh our animals before we could show them. They had to meet a certain weight. And I remember getting him out of the scales, off the scales, and he put his head down and started charging, and off. I couldn't hold him. And he took off, and everybody's trying to chase him. And I said, let him go. He'll go back to the stall. And he did, but I thought, oh, God almighty, this is going to be fun. But after that, I was able to show him and sell him. I said, good riddance.
Yeah,
Now give me the money.
You've spoken highly of your ag teachers, Mr.
Right.
San Pietro and Mr. Shucklian. What impact did they have on your path?
Oh, a lot. I first met, I think Mr. Shucklian was a teacher at Whitney when I was at Redwood. And San Pietro was an ag teacher at Redwood, and that's where I first met him. But then they transferred to Golden West the same time I did in 79. And we just developed a bond between they just loved their kids there at school. And I don't know if they just took a personal attachment to me or me to them, but it just had a really good relationship with them, and they were always involved with us, and they just had a super impact on my later on in life, especially. But they were just mentors to us and to me, especially.
Yeah, I got to do YSO for 8 years, man. So, it was cool when you see there's just certain teachers, man, they're just born to do it and they really have a passion.
Right.
And then you got some where you're just like, dude, you need to retire and get out of here, dude. But I would tell you, I always like to see those teachers that connect with kids.
Right.
And we all have, I had some teachers at Union that I really liked, and then I had a bunch that I didn't. At the time, you weren't thinking about being a police officer. What originally attracted you to the forestry and the idea of becoming a park ranger?
Yeah, I just always wanted to work outdoors. I love the mountains. I like the mountains better than the coast.
Yeah.
But I had an uncle, or I have an uncle, I keep saying the past, but I have an uncle that retired from the Park Service up at Ash Mountain. He was worked in the maintenance department. But I always just loved being up there in the park. They lived up there. I spent a lot of summers up there with them, and I wanted to be in law enforcement, but I didn't know if I wanted to be a cop at the time.
Yeah.
Street cop.
Park ranger is a little bit more chill. Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to do that until I didn't want to go to college and get a BA degree.
Yeah, because you got to be educated.
Yeah.
Yes.
And my uncle said, it's a good job, but they don't make a lot of money. And most of them live in government housing. And you have to be willing to move from park to park. It's not, you just don't stay in one park necessarily.
Yeah.
If you want to promote, you've got to go to the different parks throughout the United States. So I didn't want to go to college anymore. I was burned out. And I decided, I was going to go for CHP. That's what I really wanted to do. So just take after my father.
And did they give you the thanks but no thanks?
They gave me the big A.
Yeah.
Affirmative action.
Hey, the same thing happened.
Yeah.
We got similar stories,
It was. They didn't come out and say that, but
yeah, they didn't say. Well, how the guy told me, this is funny. I'll never. I was talking to my background investigator, and he goes, I go, hey, there's 2 guys that were in my testing cycle because we got to know these guys. It took 2 years to go through that process,
right.
And I go, they got their letters to go to the academy, and I go, I didn't get mine, and he goes, what color are they? And I go, well, one's black and one's Hispanic. He goes, and what color are you? I go, I'm white. I'm so white I glow at night. And he goes, that's all you need to know. He goes, come back in 3 years.
Right.
You eventually realized the park ranger lifestyle wasn't for you. And so it sounds like changing your mind was like you didn't want to be moving around.
No.
Yeah.
No.
At COS, what experiences, classes, mentors, ride-alongs made you think law enforcement is meant for me? It was probably more your dad.
It was my dad. I went on ride-alongs with him a few times. I didn't go on a lot of ride-alongs with him, But I started taking CJ courses at COS. Back then, we had teachers like Larry Burge. I don't know if you remember him.
It was before my time. Yeah.
Dave Parker, Tim, I forgot his last name now, but they were instrumental. They were great guys. Obviously loved and had a passion for law enforcement, told a lot of war stories. So it made it very interesting to me.
Yeah. And so what years were you at COS?
I was
not even the academy, just going to COS.
82 to 85.
Okay. Your family has a long law enforcement lineage. Do you feel like a legacy to follow, or was it just something you had to discover on your own? But it sounds like you just wanted to follow your dad's footsteps, right?
Kind of. I just recently did the Ancestry.com.
Oh, yeah.
And I found out that I have a great uncle that was a U.S. Deputy Marshal for Judge Parker's court.
Oh, wow.
In the early 1890s.
Awesome.
Yeah. So it starts back, that far back.
Well, there's something in that Gilbert blood then. You guys were just born to be gunslingers.
I guess.
You scored a 93 on the CHP testing. I scored a 95, and they gave me 5 points for being a vet. But neither one of us were selected for the academy.
Right.
How did that setback shape you for your next steps?
Well, at first, it was devastating to me.
Oh, dude, it was a gut punch, man.
Yeah, because that's what I really wanted to do. I wanted to be a CHP officer like my dad and my uncle. And
you look like a CHP officer.
Yeah. But
no, because you're tall. You just had that, and then you worked traffic all those years.
Yeah, I loved working traffic, and that was my passion. But it just wasn't meant to be, and I had to accept that.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm not going to test again. Wait another 2 years. My life is going to pass before me. Before I get in, and I saw the writing on the wall when I first tested and got that 93. I was supposed to go in the academy.
I was saying that would have been a shoe-in.
My dad would check on and they'd say, "Oh, it looks like he's going in the whatever academy class." Well, that'd come up and I wouldn't hear anything, so he'd call back. No, he didn't make it this time, and so it kept on and on and on. And so I saw the writing on the wall, and so I decided. I had a family friend that worked for the sheriff's department, Cliff Webb, and Cliff invited me to go on a couple ride-alongs with him, and I did. And so that's the start of me working for the sheriff's department.
Yeah, I would tell you this, man. When I got that letter, man, telling me that they took me from Group A down to Group C, man, it was a dagger to the heart, bro. And
it was devastating.
What was the Tulare Kings County Police Academy like for you? And any memories that really stand out? How long was the academy back when you attended? It
was about 3 months. Okay. There was 680 hours, I believe, back then.
Yeah, and then what year did you attend the academy?
April of 87 until July of 87.
Okay.
So, like I said, the instructors knew who my dad was.
Yeah.
My dad actually worked for the academy in the early 70s, grading the reports. And so some of them knew him. And like I said, I had taken CJ classes from those guys.
So you kind of
already knew them. Yeah. And we had a good rapport. I ended up being a squad leader right off the bat. And back then, when you're a squad leader, you were a squad leader for the whole academy. It wasn't like you do it a couple of weeks and then somebody else takes their turn. No, I was it. So I don't really have any funny stories or anything other than we had one instructor, Cobb was his last name. He was with Fresno County SO. And I remember sitting there and I was just listening to him talk. And all of a sudden he goes, "You're Richard Gilbert's son, aren't you?" And I said, "Yes, sir, yes, sir." He reaches over and grabs me by my uniform shirt and just pulls, and this was a big, stocky guy, pulls me up over the table. And he goes, "Your dad's a good guy."
You know what was funny about my academy that's so funny? I graduated 1 year later we ended up arresting one of our RTOs who got drunk and was trying to walk down on the freeway.
Yeah.
And he had worked at Dinuba. You finished 9th out of 40 and became a squad leader. What did that teach you about leadership?
That I didn't want to do it. No.
Yeah.
No. Really. Dude,
I was a class leader for 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you something, dude. It was so much extra work. And it was a pain in the neck. And I'm sure it was for you too.
And you mentioned in one of your other podcasts, you don't have to promote to be a leader.
For sure.
And let me back up. I worked for UPS before I went into the academy. And I was a night sort supervisor.
Okay.
Absolutely hated it. I mean, I made decent money for being part-time.
I was going to say, yeah, because were you doing like the 4 hours you're out there?
Yeah, 3 or 4 hours. But
they
talk
paid well.
about stressful.
Oh, yeah.
And I had a center manager was on my butt all the time trying to get these packages out because you have to get them out in a certain time.
Oh, yeah.
Or otherwise it delays everything. And I said, after that, I'll never be a supervisor again. I hated it so much. And that came true. I never was a supervisor.
Yeah.
But it didn't mean that I was a leader in some shape or form.
Yeah.
With, guys at the PD or.
Yeah, I would tell you this, man. When I came on, you had already probably been a cop. Well, I came on in 97. So, man, you'd already been a cop for a while. Yeah. And I just remember, man, dude, you were super duper cool to me and a lot of the younger guys. And it wasn't like that with everybody.
And I've got a story I'll tell in a little bit about that, why I was super cool.
Because, I remember, Dunn and some other guys, man, they were mean to us, dude. And, it's just like, hey, man, it don't got to be like that, bro. Right. After graduating, you were assigned to the return to custody. and was that road camp?
It was behind road camp. Yeah.
So for the folks at home who don't know, it's out in the middle of the sticks, but it was an old army barracks is what it was. And so the sheriff's department took us over. And so when people would have to come back and return to custody, then they would have to go to this place. And I think they finally had to knock that place down because it was has asbestos and all that stuff. That place was horrible.
It was bad.
But you worked there. What did that role involve, and what did it teach you early on?
Well, I supervised return to custody inmates with parole violators, and most of them, they got 6 months to a year, and so they just wanted to do their time. They weren't hardcore. Yeah. Prisoners, but I worked there for 2 years. I started out supervising. Before I left there, I was a transport, not necessarily to court, but to like their eye appointments or doctors.
Oh yeah,
because
the doctor stuff. Yeah,
state inmates. But I learned that I didn't want to work in custody anymore.
You know what? For the folks at home, he's so true, man. I worked the jail for a year, and I don't know about you, but I almost felt like I was locked up.
Yeah.
And, I was at Bob Wiley, man. And so I had to deal with, they put me in ad-seg, administrative segregation, man. And, dude, I had all those hard-hitting white boys in there, man. And it was, dude, I was like, this is not where I want to be. And if you're going to do it, then just go to CDC and get paid for it.
But it was good for me because I learned the crooks.
Yes.
And I think it's good for anybody. However, back then you had to do a minimum of 5 years in custody.
Oh yeah, before you were going to go to patrol.
Yeah. And I remember a good friend of mine, Rick Lopes. Hey, Rick. He and I wanted to leave, and we had talked about going to Alaska.
Wow.
That's not going to happen. But that's how we ended up going to Laguna Beach. He went down there and I followed him. But I was very appreciative to the sheriff's department for hiring me. I made a lot of close friends that I still have today. Mike Boudreau was just a deputy. We worked together in custody, and obviously look where it took him.
Yeah.
I probably would not have left if I knew I wasn't going to be working in custodies.
Yeah.
Because there was so much to do at the sheriff's department, so many different avenues you could take.
It's a big organization. Yeah.
Pay's not great. The benefits are not good.
Yeah.
But there's part of me is loyal too.
Yeah.
So,
At that point, did you ever envision staying like long term at the sheriff's office?
oh yeah, absolutely. I remember my first day going into RTC, and it was all caged and walking down the Sally Port. And I went, holy crap, I got 30 more years of this.
Yeah.
I remember that like it was yesterday.
I do too. And I remember going, come hell or high water, I ain't sticking around here.
Yeah. Well, in 2 years, I was at my limit. So
yeah. You made the big move to Laguna Beach PD in 1989. What was the culture shock like professionally and personally, man? Dude, I love Laguna.
Oh, beautiful town.
Dude, I can't believe you left there to come back to the armpit of California, man.
Well, I was telling you about Rick Lopes. Yeah. He went down there and he says, hey, come down here. They have openings. So I tested and obviously got hired. And I started in June of 89, I believe it was. And I was going to tell you the reason why I always was cool to people and didn't treat them badly was, you know, when I first moved down there, I didn't know anybody. I didn't even know Orange County.
Yeah.
I'm a Tulare County boy, you know, country boy going down to the city and getting hired down there and didn't know a soul. And Rick, there was another guy, Manuel Nunez, that worked down there, and he was from Exeter. He had worked at Exeter PD, I believe, but he was also a CSO at Visalia PD for a short period of time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he was already down there working. So, yeah, I get hired down there, and
I'm also thinking a nice little pay raise to go down there.
It was a nice pay raise. Yeah. And my first apartment down there, it was a studio condo, and it was a 1-bedroom, and it had a detached garage, and it was $600 a month. And I went, holy crap, how am I going to afford this?
Yeah.
But obviously I had a pay raise, but I just remember my first couple weeks when I started there were terrible. First of all, Laguna Beach, I didn't know the area.
Yeah.
They have 9 and 10 codes that are totally different from here. Their phonetics are military phonetics.
Oh, yeah.
They're not.
So for the folks at home, in law enforcement, we use Adam Boy Charles David.
Yeah.
They use Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that was all new to me. I had a book with the 9 codes in there that I had to learn. And so there was a lot of stress. Plus, I had moved away from home.
Yeah.
And,
didn't know anybody.
Yeah. And, I was homesick. And I remember the first 2 weeks were terrible. We didn't have computers back then. So when we booked somebody, we arrested somebody, you put it in a typewriter and you had to fix it. Yeah. And I wasn't a typer. But you had to move all the different boxes. And it was carbon copies. And I remember just remembering my FTO was not happy with me. This guy was, Jim Raposo reminded me of this guy a lot. He was straight-laced, very sharp-looking.
Squared away.
He wasn't really mean to me or anything, but he was just, you could tell his patience were wearing.
Yeah.
And I didn't think I was going to make it. And I remember going home or going to my apartment and doing a gut check and talking to God and saying, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah.
I go, just relax and have fun out there. I was putting so much pressure on myself. And, all newbies are nervous and, you got to take that into account. And he didn't have a lot of patience with me. Some people you got to have a little bit more patience with.
Well, to be an FTO period, you got to have patience.
But
yeah.
Anyways, he, I remember saying, screw it. If I don't make it, I'll just go back to Tulare County.
Whatever happens.
And I'm going to go out and have fun. And as soon as I did that and got all that pressure off my chest, I did a 180. He goes, I don't know what you did, but you've totally turned yourself around. And I ended up making it through there. And I went to different FTOs and, the stress was a lot less.
How long were you at Laguna?
I was there 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's one story from your Laguna Beach patrol days that still makes you shake your head or laugh?
Well, there's a couple things, but one in particular, a friend of mine, Chris Dempsey. I don't know if you know Chris.
I do.
From
I know of
Porterville.
him. Yeah.
He was a deputy at the SO, and I got him to go down to Laguna Beach. And, you know, Laguna had a high population of gay and lesbians there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I remember he went on a ride along with me. And we're two country boys from Tulare County. And I take him to a bar check, and it's called the Boom Boom Room. And we go to do a bar check there, and they're playing. It's country night. So you've got all these cowboys and dressed up in leather chaps. And they're playing a song. It was very appropriate. It was Merle Haggard, "Let's Chase Each Other Around the Room Tonight." We got a good laugh out of that. But yeah, and then it wasn't funny, but I had a pretty good case one time, a burglary case, where this couple weren't home. Somebody broke in, and the guy had put out a cigarette butt in the rug. And I don't remember what he stole, but there were some seashells that he left at the doorstep. And I'm doing my investigation. Again, nobody's there, and I'm just kind of writing a report out, trying to locate the owners of the residence. And this guy walks up. He starts talking to me like, "Hey, what happened here?" He goes, I saw something, but I wasn't sure what it was. And so I'm talking to him, and I notice he has a pack of cigarettes in his pocket. They're the same brand as the ones crushed. And I at that time, I didn't have really enough, but I was like curious. And he says, "Oh, I was out collecting seashells."
And the shells.
And so I let him initially walk off, and I go, "Seashells, cigarettes."
Yep. Ding,
I go,
ding,
hey,
ding.
hey, dude, I need to talk to you again. And the chase was on, and I ended up chasing that guy into the surf down on the beach.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I had an ankle holster back then and a gun on my ankle, and it got submerged in salt water. And I ended up catching the guy on some cliffs. And but yeah, that's
something out of a movie, brother.
Yeah, it was.
You met your first wife, Carrie, while in Orange County. What was life like as a young officer starting a family?
We met through my friend Rick. He actually dated her before.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, but he introduced us.
Yeah.
And so within, I don't know, a couple months, 2 or 3 months, we were engaged.
Okay.
And we got married while we were still living down there. We got an apartment.
Was she from there?
No, she's from Exeter.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, she moved down there with a friend, a mutual or a friend of hers. And like I said, Rick, she knew Rick and she knew Manuel Nunes. And so she moved down there with a friend of hers, Sandy. And we ended up meeting and dated, like I said, for a few months and ended up getting engaged. And then we got married in 1990 here in Visalia. And I remember we were going to stay down in Laguna Beach. She had a pretty good job. And I don't know that I would have stayed with Laguna Beach. I probably would have went to another agency that paid more. But we were there and I was working there. And we decided, you know what, let's go back to Visalia. Well, at the time, Visalia PD was hiring. And a friend of mine, my best friend, his uncle was Bruce McDermott.
Okay. All
and that
into
was
place.
my end. Yeah.
Yeah, for the folks at home, Bruce was the chief. Well, I was going to say, too, I bet you back then, and I had heard stories, like Visalia, if they had an opening, there'd be 100 people applying. Oh. And so I'm sure if you didn't have some type of in, you were not getting it. So that's what brought you back in. So 91 is when you came to Visalia then.
Yeah, 91 I came to Visalia.
Do you remember your first shift or first call
I do.
in Visalia?
I do. I don't remember my first call. My first shift, okay, I was given Adam 13 was my number. I started with Glenn Newsom. He was my primary FTO. He was an agent then. And we started on Friday, September 13th, and my number was 13.
Oh, nice.
So I do remember that first day. 2 weeks later, ironically, they had the big explosion where our 4 officers were blown up inside that house.
Yeah, real fast. Jeff's talking about a situation. Yeah, so some officers went into a house and the suspect had already had the gas from the stove going.
Right.
They didn't know that initially. Something sparked it, and then did the suspect light something?
No, there was propane tanks.
Okay.
He had opened a bunch of propane tanks inside the residence, and they went in and they started opening windows to try to get it to air out. The guy was obviously wanting to commit suicide, and something sparked. It could have been the radio. They're not sure what it was, but it blew the house literally off the foundation.
Yeah, and I mean, some guys got blown through some walls.
Yeah.
A couple of them. I mean, Perry had. His hands were burnt. I mean, really bad.
Really bad.
And it's interesting enough. When I got hired at Visalia, I got hired because I was that first 20 after the Kelly Scott stuff. And for the folks at home, there was a shootout that happened, and a local optometrist got shot in the eye. And because back then Visalia would hire like one officer per year.
Oh, yeah.
But that year, people kind of went really extreme and were like, we need more cops. So I was that first batch of that 20.
What year was that?
And that was 97.
Okay.
So I didn't start until 98, but I came on at the beginning of 98.
Yeah, because Kelly Scott got shot around 93.
Oh, so that was younger?
93.
Okay.
Because we didn't even have a gang team then.
Yeah.
That was pretty much the beginning. After that incident happened between the rival gang members, and he was in between them and got shot, they started the gang unit. And our first gang unit had Gary James was the agent. They had Jeff Griffiths. They had Mike Chamberlain and Mike Stowe.
I used to love to hear Gary James talk. He had like the coolest voice, man. Yeah. You worked with your FTOs, Glenn Newsom and Rudy Vargas. What did each one of those guys teach you?
Both were, Glenn was a big mentor in my career there. Absolutely love the guy. Would go to battle for him any day of the week. But Glenn was always a calm person. Never got riled up or overexcited about anything. And maybe that's part of the reason why I was more like that too. I don't know. But he was more of a guy that could go get things for you, but he was very sharp as far as knowing policy and procedures.
Yeah, I can see that.
And Rudy, on the other hand, was a go-get-'em guy.
Yeah.
He liked to get out and mix it up. And so I got a little bit of both. And again, Rudy, loved the guy to death, another mentor of mine. I wish he would have stayed longer because I know he would have promoted.
Yeah. A lot of, I never got to really work with him because I came on like right after Raposo.
Right.
And, but I will tell you this, Glenn was one of my sergeants, and then, he made captain here. Always a good dude to me, always treated me with nothing but dignity and respect. And so I have a lot of respect for Glenn. You later became an FTO yourself. What made a great trainee and what made a challenging one?
Well, a great trainee was somebody that caught on quickly, right?
Yeah.
You didn't have to go over things over and over and over again. Some guys catch on quick, some guys don't. I hated having reserves.
Yeah.
There were some good, like Kevin Grant started as a reserve. Brant Abbott started as a reserve. Those guys were good. I'm talking about the weekend, or they'd come out once a month.
Yeah.
They were just there for a ride along. And
what's interesting, you say that there was one guy that we used to work with quite a bit, but he would only ride with El Nava.
Oh.
And, he never
Big
did
Al.
he never did any paperwork, know, and so you're right. I want to talk about something. The Kevin Wright shooting. All right. And so for the folks at home, Kevin Wright was an officer at Visalia. Intense dude. Didn't like to joke around a lot. No. By the time I came on, I think he was already an old veteran himself. But I finally got to be friends with him because we worked swing shift, and that was such a busy shift. And I think I kind of proved myself to him. But he got into a shooting, and it kind of became a urban legend around here. But take us back to that day in the early 90s. There was a robbery suspect, and kind of walk us through what happened.
First of all, Kevin and I went to the academy together, so we were pretty close friends. But that was in about 92, somewhere in there. I can't remember exactly, 92, 93. Taylor's Hot Dog Stand, located on the corner of Center and Encina. Very popular hot dog stand.
That's an iconic spot here in town.
Oh, yeah. Pauline and Jim Taylor owned it. We called him Ma and Pa Taylor. Yeah. Very prominent people in the community. She literally had a key to the chief's office.
Well, I would tell you this, and for the folks at home, when she passed away, that's the first civilian I've ever seen that got a full police burial. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
So when the call came out that there was a 211 or a robbery at the hot dog stand, it was an armed robbery. The gun was a sawed-off shotgun. The description of the vehicle, I can't remember the color of it, but it was a VW Bug. And I was coming towards it. I think Tim Haskell was a primary, and I was driving towards it on Murray Street. I was going westbound on Murray around, I think, Santa Fe or Burke. And Kevin immediately picks up the vehicle, and he's going eastbound Murray.
Coming right at you.
They're coming right at me. So I'm just and I had a reserve with me. And I remember Kevin putting out the description, calling in the plate, and the vehicle yielded around, I want to say it was Church Street. And I just remember I was going, holy cow, you're not even going to give me time to get in behind you.
Yeah.
Because time is on your side.
Yeah.
You can pick where you want to stop a vehicle.
For sure.
If it's going to stop. Well, and the car wasn't running. They wasn't trying to flee him. And so Kevin puts out a traffic or a vehicle stop on the car, and I'm coming right up beside him, across the street from him. And so I ended up just throwing my car into park. I told my reserve, stay here.
Yeah.
I want you getting involved. And
are you bothered by leg veins of any size, or is leg swelling or pain bugging you or someone you know? I would recommend that you make an appointment with our friends at Sequoia Vein and Wound to take care of it. With a friendly bilingual staff and their years of experience, they are happy to help resolve those issues. Give them a call to get a consult at 559-713-6478 and tell them that Jay Mac sent you.
Ran out, and as I'm running across the street to go to the passenger side of this Bug, Kevin's got his shotgun out and he racks around it, and I went, holy cow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's very intimidating. And I remember him pulling up to the driver's side, says, don't move, boom. So,
and you know what? You know why it makes me laugh? Because he's intense.
Yeah.
He's an intense dude. So I could picture it like I was there. Dude.
Yeah. And so I went, oh my God. So I ran over to the passenger side, and the guy was gurgling, doing the death gurgles.
Yeah.
And he had the sawed-off shotgun between the seats. And so I hooked the guy up, and I moved the shotgun out onto the side of the road or onto the grass or something. I made sure it was unloaded. And so we hooked the guy up, called for ambulance and backup. And Kevin comes around to me, he goes, Jeff, I just shot that dude. And I go, you just shot the shit out of him. He shot him point blank with that shotgun.
Double up buck?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And the guy lived.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, the guy lived. But we still, when we see each other, kid about that, because he goes, man, I couldn't believe that. And I said, yeah. I go, you shot the shit out of him.
Oh, yeah, dude. A remnant. Well, I tell you something. I got to see when they shot that dude with some slugs. You want to talk about some damage.
Yeah.
What did that experience teach you about courage, teamwork, and the realities of split-second decision-making in the line of duty?
Right. Well, it's very important to have teamwork. And, things do happen in a split second.
They do.
And you've got to be able to adjust to that. If you can't, you're in the wrong line of business.
Yeah. This, man, and we've all been in this. Hey, man, it turns to shit that quick. And in 1995, you transferred to the traffic unit and became a motor officer. How did that change your perspective of policing?
I don't think it really changed my perspective on policing so much. It just changed it in the direction of working traffic.
Yeah.
I had a blast. That was probably one of my favorite jobs.
And you got to do that for a long time.
I did it for 5 years.
Okay. That's a good run.
We had a close-knit group in there, and I worked for 3 sergeants. Sweeney was my first sergeant, and then I had Glenn Newsom and Mike McGee. So 2 of the sergeants there were mentors of mine, McGee and Newsom, and absolutely loved working for those guys. Just like I said before with Glenn, even keeled, didn't get excited about things, let you do your job, wasn't over your shoulder, micromanaging. Same with Mike McGee. Mike McGee was a little bit more of a working sergeant. He had no problem going out and working traffic, taking traffic collision reports. So it was nice to see a leader out with his people doing what we do.
Was ICE already in there?
Louis was in there, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm a master storyteller, so I got a story for you. Okay. So I'm going to take you back. Remember when Adam Collins got shot? Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay. So for the folks at home, we had a gang officer. They chased these guys into a house, and the suspect was hiding in a closet, but he was crouched down and he had his gun like this. And when they approached, he actually fired multiple rounds. He shot Adam multiple times in the shoulder, I think 4 or 5 rounds. Also shot another officer. Okay. And what I remember about that was Adam came over the radio and sounded like he was ordering a pizza. It wasn't no screaming. It wasn't like, I've been shot. It was like this. Hey, I've been shot. Somebody needs to come get me. Right. And it was weird listening to that because at the time I didn't like him because here's what it was. I had come out of the gang unit. I was back at patrol. He's in the gang unit. So he looks at all the patrol people as like, you're a patrol puke, right? And so he would say like these off-colored stuff to us like, yeah, you guys go take those, vandalism reports or whatever. And so I was like, hey, wait, dude, I did 4 years in there, man. Come on. But interesting enough, I had a lot of respect for that, he really kept his cool after being shot, which is a big deal. Interesting. Now he becomes a YSO and he comes to my unit and I took him under my wing and we became really good friends. And now he's like family to me, but we were having breakfast one morning and I said, hey man, why were you such an asshole to me? Right. And he goes, Jay, man, he goes, what you don't realize, dude, he goes, back then I wasn't sleeping well. He goes, I was taking pain meds. He goes, dude, I just wasn't myself. And once he said all that, it really put it in perspective. And now, he became actually one of the closest people to me at the PD, and I love him like a brother. And I don't know if you know, but, then, ultimately he got fired,
right.
And is what's sad is, man, I mean, it's sad to see that he went through all of that and then lost his career.
Right.
And so I hate to see that because I love him. I care about him. But, this job,
can eat you up.
It is here today, gone tomorrow. You and your friend, Louis Cantu, competed in Pacific Grove motorcycle competitions. Any memorable wins or wipeouts? And I'm talking about wipeouts. I remember that one in front of like the pump house when you guys all pulled up in the line, and I think you forgot to put your kickstand down, and then the bike's all.
I don't remember.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I don't remember that.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a lot of memorable times at Pacific Grove. We competed from 1997 to 99 up north, and it was sanctioned by the Police Olympics.
Yeah, because you were Gilly and he was Ice.
Yeah.
Yes.
John and Punch. And, our first year there it was just a learning experience for us because we didn't know what to expect. There was 3 criterias. One was inspection. One was your bike. I'm sorry. The inspection was done by the Marine Corps from the Presidio there. They did a white glove inspection. And then,
to make sure it's clean.
Yeah, and then we had you
had to do cones and all that.
We had to do the synchronicity riding and then the speed. So they were judged in 3 different areas. But we ended up winning in 1998. We won. I think we took a 3rd place, but 99 we took a 1st place,
Nice.
and we took a 3rd overall or 5th overall or something. So I think we took 1st in speed. But yeah, we had good times. Again, the department was very supportive of that back then. We had McDermott as a chief. He loved the traffic unit. We'd always go on not always, but we'd go on rides with him to the mountains, and he loved the traffic unit. And
see, I never got to work for him because
Awesome,
by
dude.
the time I came, he was already gone. But I got to meet him years later.
He was a great
dude.
great
Sweetheart,
people
man.
person. Obviously, the community loved him, but I would say the only downfall to him is he could never say no to anybody.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, somebody else described it. He was almost too nice.
Yeah.
And he wanted to make everybody happy. And the problem with that, being a chief, you got to make tough decisions.
Right.
You served on SWAT as an entry officer and sniper. What drew you to SWAT?
Well, the camaraderie between the guys. I had friends that were on the SWAT team. It was a prestigious place to be at that time.
I bet.
You got on SWAT, you're somebody. And so, yeah, it took me, 4 or 5 times to get in. But back then, things were a lot different with SWAT.
Yeah.
It's not like it is now.
Yeah.
They did the majority of the entries for narcs.
Well, I remember somebody told me you guys would do 20, 30 hits a year.
Oh, no, more than that.
And I remember right when I was coming on and seeing the SWAT dudes, I remember you guys were rocking those cool ass MP5s. I mean, that was the thing,
Yeah.
And so you guys all looked super duper cool. What mindset does SWAT require that's different from patrol?
Well, the biggest thing is tactics.
Yeah.
You have to have a mindset of being tactical on everything you do in SWAT. You have to have, your mindset. It's not just tactics, but you can't be going off your rocker on different type of entries or whatever the incident is. You got to stay composed,
Yeah.
So
Was Glenn the team leader then?
it started with Mike Correa.
Okay.
Another great sergeant to work for. I was lucky. I had good sergeants. He was the team leader. He was only there for a little while when I came on in 95, and then Glenn took over.
You received the Medal of Merit for the James Raposo incident. Can you walk us through that day?
Sure can.
Yeah.
First of all, let me preface that by saying that Jim was one hell of an officer. Again, this guy was, when he'd come to work, he was straight-laced. Liked to have fun, but everything about him, his uniform, he just had command presence.
A lot of people said, yes, he was like those dudes, not a hair out of place, uniform crisp, sharp, boot shined, just your prototypical looking police officer. That's what I heard.
Yeah, and out on the street, he was just like that. A super, super good guy, good to get along with, good team player. And he was on SWAT. He actually got on right before I did. So I'm not going to debrief the whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm just going to
Just give us the broad strokes. Yeah.
But basically, the suspect in this case, Alfonso Hernandez, was a 16-year-old Norteño gang member. Really didn't have a criminal background. I think he may have had a couple petty thefts, so he was kind of off the radar. But he had committed within a 2 or 3 month span. He'd committed 3 or 4 shootings where he had shot a total of 8 people.
Oh, wow.
One shooting on North Leslie, he shot 4 people at that residence.
Oh, wow.
So he was on a rampage. And Rudy Vargas was working, it wasn't the FIT team, it may have been SEU. I think it was SEU. And he had gotten information from an informant that this guy, Alfonso Hernandez, was responsible for the shootings. Detectives had identified him as the person responsible. They had done some search warrants. I think they recovered a .223 that had been used at the North Leslie address. It was a ranch rifle, Ruger Ranch, .223 caliber. And I think they recovered that. He also had a chrome 9mm semi-auto handgun that he had used that they had not recovered. So with all this, obviously this guy's
that
a
ramps
menace.
it up.
It ramps it up. So SWAT's going to be used. So January 8th January 8th of 1998, we had been put on standby to hit a house in Tulare. The informant says he's at this house in Tulare. We were going to hit that house, but we were waiting for the informant to give us information and confirm that he was at the house. And after not receiving the information, we downed it because the informant never called.
Got it.
On January 9th, Rudy had gotten information from his informant that Alfonso was at an apartment at 1425 South Central, apartment 14, and he was been using methamphetamine days on end, so he was really ramped up. To back up, we had asked our detectives had asked family members to talk to this guy and try to get him to turn himself in. His response to them was, "No, I'm not turning myself in. I'm either going to commit suicide or I'm going to go out shooting.
Yeah.
I'm going to shoot it out with the cops." And so we already knew that going into this operation that this was probably not going to end well.
Yeah.
So we were keyed up, and so when January 9th rolled around, we got word that he was at this apartment. We had a briefing. It was about 2:30 in the afternoon. We had a briefing that he was there at the apartment. The detectives had taken the CI to the apartment where she pointed it out, said, "Yeah, he's there. There's family there."
What time of day is this?
2:30 in the afternoon.
Okay.
There's kids in the house. There's some family members. We're still trying to get, to have him, to talk him out of shooting it out with the cops just to turn himself in. Not going to happen. He's been using methamphetamine for 3 days straight, hasn't slept. And so we brief at 2:30, get all this intel coming in from the CI. About 4:20, we load up in the van and we head to 1425 South Central. And I remember sitting in the van thinking this is not going to go good.
Yeah.
Not thinking that one of us were going to get shot. I just said, this is.
Yeah, you kind of know. And I was going to say, for the folks at home, for Jeff to remember that address like it was yesterday, that just lets you know, number one, this is something that's probably etched in your memory forever. I was at the sheriff's office when this happened, and this was big news, man. And, years later, Ken Smythe was my partner in the gang unit, and he was there that day as well.
Right.
But go ahead.
Yeah, so we were traveling to South Central, and we roll up into the complex. Now, these are townhomes, and so they're 2-story apartments. We kind of had the layout of what the apartment looked like.
Well, plus it's got that fence, and then you're in that. It's almost
very
like that
confined.
fatal funnel. It's like you got that long sidewalk and all that. So
and we had to drive to the back. It was on the far west end of the complex, and it's a townhouse. There's we knew the layout. There was the living room as you walked in. There was a bathroom off to the right, and then the kitchen was separated by a wall between the living room and the kitchen. And it was more on the northeast side of the condo. And then the front door immediately to the left of the front door was a stairway to go up to the bedrooms. I had been assigned to go upstairs along with 3 other guys. And there was 5 guys, I believe, that made entry on the bottom floor, Raposo being the lead guy. He was the number 1 in the door. We get to the door, knock on it, announce police search warrant. And we announced that several times very loudly. And the door was locked. Ron Epp breached the door for us. We went in, and I remember going up the stairs, and all of a sudden I hear pop, 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 and I could smell the gun smoke. But we had a job to do.
Yeah. So you still got to go up.
We still got to go up the stairs. So we went up there. I think it was, I don't remember. It was Dominic Mena, Brian Winter, myself, maybe Brent Abbott. I don't remember. But we went up and cleared, and we ended up engaging with one subject up there who was trying to go out the bathroom window. And we detained him, cuffed him up. And I just remember, we got this guy. And then all of a sudden there was chaos. And we still didn't know what was going on, but we knew somebody had been hit. And I go, it's not very bad then. This can't be that bad. Because we had all the protective stuff on.
Yeah, you're rocking like level 4 vests.
Yeah. All of our SWAT
helmets
gear.
on.
Yeah. So if somebody got shot, they got nicked, or wounded. And I just remember staying upstairs because Newsom said stay up there. And so Raposo, when he made entry, he was the first one that rounded into the kitchen area. They had been trying to get this Alfonso to turn himself in. He goes, nah, I'm shooting it out with the cops. Well, when we made entry, he got up from the kitchen table that was right between the living room and the kitchen area and went into the kitchen to the east and backed himself up against the wall and pointed his 9mm semi-chrome or his chrome semi-automatic handgun towards the officers when they rounded that corner. Jim was the first one, and he shot. Well, Jim took a round into his left wrist, and that round traveled up and ended up lodging into his left shoulder area. So we suspect what happened was when he got shot, he turned to his left. Jim was able to get 2 rounds off at this guy. I don't think they hit him, but when he turned, the guy shot again. This time it went in through his left arm into his armpit, and then it ended up piercing his aorta and lodging in his back spine, and that dropped him. So I just remember officer rescue. We had it set up to where Jeff Robertson was our driver for the officer down rescue. Ken Smythe was one of the guys involved in that officer rescue. I think if I remember right, the guys were trying to get Jim up, and they were having a hard time. As officers were laying down cover fire for our officer rescue, I think Ron Epp came in and picked him up. Big man, picks him up and takes him out. The officers that were laying down cover fire were Tim Haskell and Lopez, and I believe Rudy was one of them. And they ended up just destroying this guy. I think there was like 30 plus rounds fired at this guy.
And I remember, didn't they have to like shoot like through the bar to get, or through something to get to him?
I think Rudy fired through the wall initially just to lay down some support fire so they could get Raposo out of there.
Got it.
I know Tim and Mark and I think Ken Smythe were the 3 that were laying down support fire. So they were just spraying rounds just so we could get Jim out of there. Because Jim had fallen backwards towards the kitchen table. So that would have been on the west end of the condo. So I know that Mark and Tim hit him. I think he had a total of like 8 or 9 lethal wounds to his body. I just remember after it was over with, I wanted to go see this guy because what he had just done to Jim. We still didn't know that Jim had died. But I wanted to see the hole in his face.
Yeah.
They put a hole. You could look through his face.
I will tell you this, for the folks at home, this was big news. I mean, obviously, anytime an officer gets killed,
Yeah.
but we're not used to that in this small town. And, in prime example, it hasn't happened since then. But,
No. Knock on wood.
but I will tell you this. Ken told me that when they drove him to the hospital, Glenn told him, "Hey, give me a 1021," and he called him and he's like, "Hey man, how's he doing?" And they thought he was still going to make it. They didn't know
He was still alive.
Yeah,
when they
and then so
transported him.
Ken was the one that had to tell Glenn that he had passed.
None of us thought. I thought, again, I was upstairs, but none of us thought it was a fatal wound. He got hit in the arm.
Yeah,
But the bullet had traveled, and it actually nicked the vest where it came together on the side.
got it.
So it nicked it, and it entered. I mean, just a fluke deal. But, that's what ultimately killed him.
After that, I noticed that you guys started to wear the shoulder. After that,
Right.
it just seemed like that kind of changed it.
Right.
And then, another thing for the folks at home, there were some guys there that were on that team that a few months later, man, they were like, I don't want to do this no more. And they left. And, and it's, God bless anybody that was there because, I didn't even know him, but man, I mean, I get emotional just talking about it because you know what? For one of us to go down the line of fire, man, that's major.
Yeah.
And I will tell you this, that had ripple effects for years. And because by the time I came on, SWAT, you guys quit doing hits. It seemed like it almost stopped for a while and then it started to come back up. But for a long time, there was just a lot of debrief over that, and I think it kind of changed the tactics of the team. And
it changed the dynamics of how we operated. Before, it was every entry was a dynamic entry.
Yeah.
And when I first started, there was no rhyme or reason to a lot of stuff. It was just the first two guy goes, "I'm going deep."
Yeah.
Meaning I'm going to where the suspect, he could be in the back bedroom. I'm going to pass everybody up.
Yeah.
And go to that bedroom. The rest of you take on there was a lot of things that we, but
that was the
times
culture.
changed.
I was going to say that was the culture then. It really was.
And,
I didn't do SWAT, but I will tell you this. Every guy there that you mentioned, I mean, each one of them studs. Dude, you're a stud.
Oh.
And yes, you are. And I will tell you this. You guys were a squared away team. You're right. Sometimes Murphy. I always say this: we have a say. The suspect has a say, but Murphy's Law has a say.
Right.
And I think that situation, because I didn't know any of these people when I came on, but I could tell you this: I came to truly love Mary Lee. I came to love their kids. I love Chris. I mean, dude, it's had so many ripple effects.
Right.
And
again, Jim had a great family.
Yeah.
Was a neighbor of mine when we first moved to Visalia and we bought houses. He was behind me. Great. Mary Lee was a great person. His kids are great. They turned out to be great.
They're sweethearts, man.
Yeah, we're all proud of them. And, but yeah, it was just, after that, things changed. We didn't do entries for like 2 months.
Yeah, it was.
We were grounded.
Yeah.
SO came in and helped. But when we did do an entry, we went in with flashbangs.
Yeah.
And it hardened me, dude, for a long time. It made me really hard.
I was going to say,
I didn't put up with crap from anybody.
Well, I was going to say, that's my next question. How did it change you personally and professionally?
Yeah, I didn't tolerate bad behavior from people.
Yeah.
My buttons got pushed real easy. And me, I'm pretty calm.
Yeah, you are. You're laid back.
But after that happened, I didn't put up with crap from anybody. It took a long time professionally to get over that. I was involved in it, but I wasn't directly involved in it. But we lost a comrade. and it hurt for a long time.
Well,
It still hurts.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we still talk about it to this day, and no agency wants to lose an officer in the line of duty.
Yeah, no. Well, then plus on a SWAT hit, which is, and if you think about now, even to this day, they don't even do hard hits anymore.
No,
now it's all surround call out, right? And because now we finally realized, wait a minute, why are we running in here when we don't know everything? Now let's slow it down. Time's on our side. But you're right. Back then, hey, that was the thing to do. Hey, we're knocking this door off the hinges,
right?
And we're going in 8 deep,
right?
And in 2000, you moved to the Property Crimes Unit, working auto theft and related investigations. What made you want to do that?
I'd gotten my I think it was Mike McGee had told me, hey, you've done 5 years in motors. You're not telling you to get out, but you need, if you want to try to promote eventually, you need to broaden your horizon.
Yeah, you know what? I've heard that exact same. Hey, go make yourself a better cop.
Right.
Yeah, go learn something else.
Go do something else because nobody knows you in traffic.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. I moved to property crimes. Jeff Robertson was the auto theft investigator. He wanted to go over to the property side, so I took his spot in auto theft, which ended up being a great career move for me. Auto theft back then was rampant.
Yeah.
We didn't have a task force.
Yeah.
It was me.
Well, I was going to say, and for the folks at home, Jeff's right. So, yeah, back then you had one guy. Now we got like a 6-8 man team doing auto theft because Tulare County is a hotbed for stolen vehicles.
Sure.
I mean, I said in one of my episodes, I remember Early Mart was that was like ground zero for stolen vehicles.
Right.
And, we're the biggest city in Tulare County. So I just got to believe here's just tons of 10851 stolen vehicles,
Right.
What surprised you most about property crime work?
There wasn't a lot of reward for the amount of work that you put into something. The justice wasn't there.
Yeah. A lot of those cases don't even get filed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember getting somebody in a rolling stolen vehicle and all they had to say is, I didn't know it was stolen. And they wouldn't file the case.
Yeah.
Because part of receiving stolen property is that you have knowledge of the crime that's being committed. And
well, do you remember Geezer that worked at the sheriff's office?
Yeah, I knew him, yeah.
Well, me and him were married to the same gal, obviously at different times. But when he left violent crimes to go to property, he used to describe it like this. Yeah, man, I just tracked down stolen toasters now, man. And because you're right. You do all that work, you send it to the DA's office, and I've even brought this up to DAs. You know what really used to piss me off are the ones we didn't even suit up for. Right?
Right.
The stuff does not get filed. People plead this stuff down, and we do a month-long investigation, and it goes nowhere. And I know it was frustrating for me. I can almost believe it was very frustrating for you.
It was really at first until I realized this is the way it is. So
you're not going to change it.
Go out and do your job, what they expect of you, file your cases, submit your cases, and if they walk, they walk. You get them another day.
Well, you know what? I remember telling a DA one time, he's like, well, Jay, we got to be cognizant of our conviction rate. And it pissed me off. And I said, do you know this? John Q. Citizen does not care about a conviction rate. Victims want their day in court,
Right. Yeah. It would get frustrating at the beginning, but like I said, you just have to ignore that. Try to ignore it the best you can. I worked with another guy, was CHP officer Mike Grove.
That was my next question.
Oh.
You worked closely with CHP investigator Mike Grove and what did you learn from him and what did he do really well?
Oh, that guy was a guru. He knew stolen vehicles, where they were going to be. He knew how to identify stolen vehicles, through the confidential VINs. He taught me so much. We'd go out and do, go to garages and such and look at confidentials. He taught me so much about the stolen vehicles. My dad was an auto theft investigator as well, and he was really good. So
were you guys finding like chop shops and stuff like that?
Yeah. We'd go out and look for chop shops, and the only downfall to being in property crimes and working auto theft was I had to wear a damn suit and tie.
Oh yeah.
And I'm going out in the field, and I'm going to get under cars.
Yeah.
Well, we don't care.
Yeah.
You can get a pair of coveralls.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
What are the secrets to being a great auto theft detective?
The secrets. Tough one. I guess I think you've got to be. You got to learn the craft.
Yeah.
That's the secret. I mean, it's not for everybody. There's a lot of training that's involved, and working with seasoned auto theft investigators. It's just, you just don't go out and check a VIN on the dash. There's a lot more to it, because auto theft crooks, they get very smart and wise.
Oh yeah, they pop the VINs off of cars. They're switching plates.
They're doing VIN switches.
Yeah.
So, for a lay person just to go up and look at a VIN and it comes back to the same year Chevy, but it's not the same year Chevy. You've got to dig a little deeper, and you've got to have that desire to dig for it. So
that makes sense. Were there any interesting or unusual cases you still remember?
Yeah. I remember working a case that actually, it was more of an identity theft case, but involved a finance manager for a car dealership in Visalia. And he was committing identity theft using customers' information. So the customers would come in and fill out a credit report, and he was keeping the credit reports and then buying vehicles under their names for his buddies.
Jesus. Bro.
Yeah. And then, when the finance company would contact these people that filled out a credit report, they would want their payment for the car. So Mike Grove and I worked that case. It was my case. But that took us a long ways. We ended up catching the guy. He was at another dealership. He got fired. We arrested him, I believe, on that case. He has continued doing it at another dealership. We went there and arrested him. So, yeah, it was in depth. I had binders full of credit reports that I had taken on a search warrant.
Do you remember the Roadhouse caper? The guy he would refurbish cars, and then what he would do is he would sell the car to multiple people.
No.
Well, anyways, Brian Young worked this case. Dude, they spent a year on this case. They do this big search warrant. He like $1.8 million worth of fraud, 0 incarceration time. And I remember how frustrated Brian was, and I remember us talking about it. And I'm just like, in my mind, if somebody steals $1.8 million, you should have to go do some prison time. You know what I mean? I mean, call me crazy, but that needs to happen.
This guy did prison time.
Okay.
I don't remember what he got, but he went to prison.
In 2006, you joined the VPD narcotics unit. What was that transition like?
It was nice getting out of property crimes.
Yeah.
And doing something where I could just dress down. And but I'd always had a passion I wanted to work narcs. I liked the dope end of law enforcement, doing under the influence evaluations, getting dope off the streets. So again, this was another I'd put in for this several times, and I finally got it after 4 or 5 times putting in for it. But
who was your sergeant?
I worked for Ed Lynn.
Okay,
and then Russ Skadden.
Okay,
came in later.
Skadoodle.
Great.
Yeah.
Loved the job. Worked a lot of dope cases. Ed liked to do the street level dope, and there was plenty of that around. Yeah. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun. Had a great group of guys I worked with. I started off working with Steve Lampy, Sonia Payne, and Jeremy Ediger. and then I think Lampy left and Nate Flaws came in.
Yeah.
And Nate, everybody knows Nate.
Yeah.
Good street cop too.
Oh, yeah. You became an expert in narcotic sales and asset forfeiture. What were the biggest challenges of that type of work? Especially asset forfeiture. I mean, that's a lot of work. That's a whole
nother animal.
Yes, that's a lot of work.
You got to go to specialized schools for that. But yeah, what was the first part of your question?
I just said you became an expert in narc sales and then asset forfeiture. What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, you got to keep up with the trends. You got to keep up with the prices. What are the dealers doing out on the streets?
Yeah.
You know, how are they packaging the dope? What are they selling the dope for? What the dope looks like?
Yeah.
You know, you can't just go up there and an attorney asks you, what does methamphetamine look like?
Yeah.
And you can't go, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say back then, and I'm sure today, I mean, meth is, I'm going to assume is probably the primary drug.
Oh, yeah.
In Tulare County. But although, man, I mean, in both of our careers, I saw a lot of heroin. I saw a lot of cocaine. You know, we talked about some of that crank back then. It looked like it glowed in the dark, bro.
Yeah.
And I mean, I couldn't believe people were taking this stuff. And then, you know, that's why their teeth are falling out. They got sores all over their bodies because
that's a nasty drug.
Yeah, it was. It's a filthy, filthy drug. What was the hardest part of being in narcs for you?
I don't know that I really had a hardest part.
Yeah.
I think it was.
Because
I really didn't have to be on call.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of stress in there.
I was going to ask you this, because I remember back like in the 70s, the guys would grow out their hair and beards, and then they were living the actual narc. We don't do that now. Now we use confidential informants. Were you guys using more confidential informants back then?
We used a lot of, I went undercover a couple times to buy street level stuff. But yeah, we dressed down. I think what happens is these guys start living the life.
Yes.
Because you're on the fence. You know,
I was going to say,
you have
narcs has destroyed a lot of careers.
It can destroy your career.
Yeah.
And you got to know which side to lean on.
Yeah.
You know, and it can destroy a lot of lives. So there's a fine line there. You've got to be on that line if you want to be a good narc cop. But you got to swing back over to the law enforcement side, not the criminal side.
I will tell you this. I remember one time they were like, hey, Jay, there's a narc opening. I go, dude, I am too known. There is no way I could go work dope. Yeah. I was like, everybody knows me from the schools. Everybody knows me from downtown. Everybody knows me from the gang unit. I go, ain't nobody going to sell me no drugs.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I didn't even put in for it because I just knew it would not be my jam. And I think I would end up being a liability just because I knew everybody.
Well, you might not necessarily have been bad at it. You would just have to use confidential informants.
I wouldn't be able to do no hand-to-hands by myself. In 2010, you joined INET. And what made that team unique? And then what does INET stand for the folks at home?
INET is the Interagency Narcotics Enforcement Task Force or team.
Got it.
It's a jurisdictional team. Back then, I don't even think there's an INET anymore, but back then it consisted of Tulare County SO, Visalia PD, TCSO were on it, Exeter PD, and Farmersville PD.
Well, I think now it's all HIDA, right?
It's all HIDA stuff.
Yeah,
and
there was
HIDA
folks at
back
home,
then.
is HIDA is high intensity drug trafficking area, and that's more where now you're working closely with feds.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was awesome experience. I was going on 4 years in narcs at Visalia PD, and I think it was Candy came to me and says, "Hey, I know they have a 2-year grant and they want us to participate in it." And we had participated in the past, but it had been years since we'd participated. And they asked me to go over. At first, I was a little apprehensive because I already had a good thing going.
Yeah.
And I said, well, what if I say no? They said, well, then your narc days are over.
So, okay, where do I sign up? Yeah.
So I said, yeah, I'll go over. Best decision I ever made. Absolutely loved working with that group of guys. Everybody got along good. It worked for He was a sergeant then. He ended up retiring as captain, John Gonzalez. Super. That guy was, again, very sharp, took copious notes. We'd have a briefing, that guy'd be writing notes. I mean, he was just really on top of his game, a good supervisor. So yeah, we did. Plus, I got to go out countywide and work narcotics.
I was going to tell you this, man. When I got to go to Magnet, it was the same stuff. I'm doing gang stuff in Cutler, Rosie, Ivanhoe, and Goshen. We're going down to South County. Dude, I miss that, man, because, yeah, I mean, we just got to get exposed to stuff that normal cops don't.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's so valuable. It makes you such a better cop. But you do. You just get to do stuff and be part of stuff that most guys will never even get a chance to touch. You know?
Yeah, invaluable. And got to work a lot of good cases.
You trained with the TCSO STEP team, and for the folks at home, that's their SWAT team. And eradicating mountain grows, including being dropped in by helicopter, man. Right. What was that like, dude?
Yeah, that was...
that's a hot LZ, bro.
That was a hot LZ. Yeah, every summer or every October when the harvest season would come around, that's when, you know, things ramped up for us as far as marijuana. STEP team, they took over lead on the marijuana eradication for the sheriff's department. And those guys, let me tell you, just to kind of back up a little bit with those guys, we would do search warrants, INET would, and those guys would hit the house for us. Great. I mean, I have nothing but great things to say about the STEP team. Those guys would get in there, help search.
Oh, yeah.
They would arrest all the 11-550s they could. Anything we needed, they were always there for us. Absolutely loved working with STEP.
Yeah, I would tell you something. I worked with a bunch of STEP guys, and yeah, all of them studs, dude, studs.
And so, yeah, as far as the mountain grows and such, I started off working LZs when they drop the marijuana in off a helicopter with these big nets. They drop them off in a 2.5 truck, and I'd unhook the net, and the helicopter would take off. But then I had to go through what they call stabo training.
You're hanging. You're hanging off of that helo.
Yeah. So I got to participate in 2 or 3 of those type of operations where they took us into remote mountain locations where they had grows and eradicate marijuana.
Were you ever at when they were burning this stuff, they would always have to burn the marijuana?
No, because they stopped doing that because of the EPA thing. I think.
Okay.
But they would dig pits and bury it.
Got it.
Yeah.
Walk us through. In 2011, you had a major marijuana and cash seizure, over 600 pounds and $300,000.
Right. I was working with Visalia PD, but I was assigned to INET, and we had received word from a wiretap operation down south that this guy in Visalia was possibly stashing weed at an unknown location, but they had his home address. And they had seen the money guy go into the dude's house. So it's kind of like a wall stop if you know what else. So they're pretty much passing this information off, and we can do whatever we want. They just know that this place is possibly a stash house for marijuana. So I start doing my workup on the house, and come to find out the dude has warrants. And I go, awesome.
Yeah, easy.
That's my in.
Yeah.
So we get to we'd come up with a tactical plan. We take the INET guys, and the STEP didn't go with us, but we go to the house, nobody's home, or nobody'd answer. So being the narc cop that I am, or was, I started looking around through the open garage windows and such, and I could smell marijuana emitting from the garage, and you could see clotheslines where they'd been hanging the weed to dry. So based off that, I had my probable cause to get a search warrant for the house because I figured that they were cultivating and processing weed at the house. So I ended up, and I don't remember the dude's name, but we ended up hitting the house. I got like 5 pounds of weed there. And I go, this isn't the place. So we start digging through paperwork, and we found another location in Visalia. So I did an addendum to that search warrant after we got the legals on this other house, and hit that house as soon as I had guys doing surveillance on the house while I was getting the search warrant. and there was people coming and going. And anyways, we ended up hitting that house using step. And as we hit the house, some of the Hispanics ran out the back door with a big backpack. The dude drops it as he's running. We ended up getting them in custody. Backpack had roughly $300,000 in cash in the backpack. I hit the mother load at this house, 600 pounds of processed weed in the tote boxes. And that was an all-nighter there. But, we ended up getting in custody.
That is a major caper.
Ended up taking some asset forfeiture.
Okay,
so,
love it. In 2014, you joined Target, focusing on gang violence. What was that like?
That was something, I really never worked gangs.
Yeah.
I knew a little bit about gangs, but that was a real eye-opener for me. You obviously came from a gang background, where I didn't really have that background. So I'm working patrol. I'm doing my second stint in patrol. I'd been out of patrol for 17 years, back in patrol in 2012, I think it was. And in 2014, this opening comes up for Target, and I just said, I'm just going to finish out my career in patrol. I liked it. And Mestis comes up to me, and she says, hey, Jeff, have you considered putting in for that Target position? I said, no, Chief, I really hadn't thought about it. She goes, I wish you'd think about it. I'd like to see you in there. Well, you can see the writing on the wall there. So I put in for it, obviously got it. It was a great position to have. Again, dressed down position for us. It was ran by DOJ.
Yeah, because that's more like you're doing like the really entailed investigations, a lot of surveillance.
Right.
Yeah.
You had to have a background to do that job good. You needed a background in surveillance, which I did, rolling surveillance, a little bit of undercover work by knowing how to work confidential informants. This unit was run by, like I said, DOJ. Tim Haskell was the commander in charge of that unit at the time. And he was an ex-VPD officer.
Yeah. Tim's good people, dude. Good people. How did Target differ from like patrol, traffic, narcs?
Oh, it was like a gang team, basically.
Yeah.
But it was more in depth. We did the higher scale investigations.
Yeah.
Which ultimately led us into a wiretap investigation.
That's my next question.
Yeah.
All right.
So, it was more in depth. We didn't really mess with the little low life.
Yeah, because I was going to say with Target, here's the thing: gangs and drugs go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
And the Red Soul wiretap case was massive.
Massive.
And I remember when that happened. What can you share about how that operation came together?
Yeah. 2014, 15, we had an influx of gang activity, a lot of shootings, a lot of gangsters were getting whacked. And
was it more Southerners shooting Northerners or Northerners shooting Southerners?
Northerners on Northerners.
Oh, red on red.
Red on red.
Okay.
Yeah. And we had to start from the very scratch of it. And TCSO was involved in this too, by the way, because a lot of it was county gang violence. We had some in Visalia too, but mostly county. And we had a guy by the name of Pedro Sanchez, Pistol Pete.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah.
Pistol. He was the main dude.
He was the main dude. The guy over him, who was pretty much stayed out of everything, I think his name was Joe Hernandez, went by Slow Joe. And he was an old northern guy from the prisons. And I don't remember if he was Nuestra Familia or he was Northern Structure, one of those. But yeah, but he's kind of stayed out of the limelight. He just barked orders, but Pistol Pete was the main dude. So we had names of who our players were. We started getting intel on them, again, involving a lot of surveillance, putting phones to them. I'm not going to go into depth about the wiretap.
Yeah, I get it.
But we ended up putting a case together. it became huge. And that's when we called in, Tim Haskell was running the unit. We called for support from DOJ. They have a special team that comes in. That's all they do is wiretap investigations and surveillance. And those guys are something else. And they came in and assisted us with the wire. We ended up writing a wire for this gang, for the Norteño gang.
I ended up hitting one of those locations.
Yeah. There was multiple.
And then we took them all out to the Exeter airport.
No, Visalia.
Yeah, you're right. Visalia Airport. Yeah. So we took them out there to the airport. But yeah, that was a big deal, man. I mean, I think 50-something people got wrapped up in that.
Yeah, I remember it was at least.
Yeah.
I want to say it was about 80, but.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I remember there was a lot of dudes.
It was
a lot of guns, a lot of dope. A lot of people went to jail over it. I mean, it was a big, big deal.
And a lot of guys went down for conspiracy to commit murder. We had all kinds of talk about murder on that wiretap. So it turned in from, drugs and auto theft to homicides. And it went rampant and it would just spun out of control. We came to a point where we said, we got to find to just shut this thing down.
Yeah, because you can keep going forever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How did that Red Soul caper impact violent crime in Tulare County?
Oh, it pretty much, the violent crime pretty much stopped for a while.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah,
it was a big deal. I was going to say, that was a big deal. Well, that was the first time that the gangsters really realized, oh shit, they're listening to us. Oh. And so after that, they quit talking on phones for a while. I mean, it was a big deal.
They were talking on the phone about, hey, I think the police are listening to us. And that didn't stop them. Or they'd say, go get another phone. Well, that didn't matter.
Yeah. After retiring from Visalia PD, what inspired you to continue serving with the Tulare County District Attorney's Office?
Well, I knew I was done working. I would think I was 52 years old, and I could have stayed in Target for another year or two, but when you're done.
Yeah.
And I was done, and an opportunity had come open at the DA's office. Louis Cantu had been working there, and he says, hey, come over. It's a good gig, not necessarily for retirees, but it is good for retirees because you're not on the street necessarily. You're doing investigative work kind of behind the scenes.
And I would tell you this, for the folks at home, another thing, when we retire, the city, if you want to stay on their medical, you're talking $2,000 a month.
Yeah.
And so a lot of guys go over there are like, and if you talk to them, a lot of guys are like, I'm here for the medical for my family. And then obviously, you're going to make some extra change, which doesn't hurt. But a lot of us don't want to go and drop $2,000 a month to pay for a medical for our families.
Exactly. I didn't want to pay $2,000 a month for the city, which they had a great insurance. But so I went to the DA's office because of that reason, insurance. And I knew I had a few years left of me. And I said, what could be too difficult? I've already done a lot of this stuff already, investigating stuff. So I think, it'll be a good fit for me. So
that made sense.
Yeah.
You held several investigative roles: trial prep, ag crimes, fraud. Which assignment challenged you the most?
Oh, the forensic fraud unit.
Oh, yeah.
That's
just painstaking because you're just going through paperwork and paperwork and paperwork.
A lot of bank records.
Oh, yeah.
I had a cryptocurrency case. I knew nothing about cryptocurrency. I mean, I knew about cryptocurrency, but I knew nothing about an investigation involving cryptocurrency in terms like pig butchering and I'm going, what? So I'm self-educating myself on how to do these types of investigations. It ends up being a fraud case, but that was difficult, but I got through it. I mean, one thing with crimes is they're not that difficult. You just have to dissect them. You got to figure out, okay, which crime do I have right in front of me? Follow the lead on that first.
Yeah, and then, 100%. I would tell you this, and I've often said this to people. Law enforcement, when you get into what you're doing, it's not sexy. Going through bank records is not sexy.
Yeah.
But if you can work these cases properly, and how do you eat a whale? One bite at a time.
Right.
And that's just it. You guys are out there working that stuff. And it's important because you can make major cases off of this fraud, because there's actually fraud in just about every business around. And whether it's retail, whether it's drugs, whether it's, even in education, we see it all the time. It affects so many things. And so
it's not a glamorous position.
Not.
You don't get large sentences normally for property crime related crimes, but again, somebody's committing a crime, we have to investigate.
I agree. You were named Investigator of the Year in 2023. What did that recognition mean to you after so many years in law enforcement?
It meant a lot to me, actually, more than I think the DA's office knew, because it was accumulation of all the years of service that I'd put in, all the long staking hours of doing investigations, and then to get it at the end of my career was very emotional for me.
Oh, yeah.
And they're all looking at me like, why is he crying? Well, it had built up over the years. And it meant the world to me. Yeah.
As it should. And I would tell you something, man. I'm like you. Every time I ever got an award, it's not often that we're recognized.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know you got that award until we were doing this. But man, dude, that's awesome, brother, and you deserve it, man.
Thank you.
To do that many years in this type of work, and then also be able to do a 37-year career and retire in honor when you wanted to, that is a miracle in a lot of ways, brother. You know what I mean? It really is, man. And to come out with your mental health intact, come out with your health intact. Because this, man, I think here's the problem. I think too many guys have let this job eat them up and turn them into people that they never meant to be.
Right.
I've always, every time I've ever saw you, you've always had a smile on your face. You've always had a good attitude. That in itself, I think, is a win in itself. How you've always treated me. I have the utmost respect for you, not only your career, but just how you treated me personally. Because a lot of your cohorts that you were with didn't treat me and the new guys very well.
Right.
And, and here's the sad part. We often remember the people that mistreated us. It's hard to get over that sometimes.
Yeah, and off of that, I talked about the FTO thing when I was at Laguna Beach. I always remembered what I went through and how tough it was and stressful. So when I became an FTO, I tried to remember how it made me feel, so I wouldn't do that to the new hires. Yeah, they got to go through some stress.
Yeah.
But you don't have to be a jackass to them.
I totally, you know what, man, I did FTO for a couple of years, and I was like you. I used to, in fact, the first couple of weeks, they would always stick them with me.
Yeah.
Because, we would drive around, I could talk to them, get them to relax, and then I could start showing them stuff because, people do not learn when they go into vapor lock. And I would tell people, hey, let's break this down. Let me show you this. Ask as many questions as you want because you need to know this stuff. But I think it became when it becomes too high stress. And, back then, man, we were dumping about 50% out of the FTO program. Well, number one, now it's like not cost effective. We're bringing people in. We're dumping these people in 2 months or 3 months. Then we got to start from scratch with a brand new person. It's like, hey, man, let's take care of our people.
Right.
Your son, Garrett, is a Vice APD officer, and your daughter, Danielle, works for Fresno PD. How does it feel watching your children follow in your path?
Oh, couldn't be more proud of my kids. Growing up, they were easy to raise.
I knew your kids when they were younger, and they've always been squared away kids.
I never had to spank them, hardly ever. Garrett always says, Dad, all you had to do was look at us and we knew we were in trouble. So all through high school, they played sports. We were involved with their activities, their extracurricular activities. And so, I've been a proud father since the day they were born. And, yeah, it makes me a little emotional, but
Yeah. Right. Really so.
yeah,
man.
I mean, I'm just extremely proud of easiest 2 kids to raise. I mean, I was just,
And also for the folks at home, Garrett's now in motors.
Yeah.
So now he's really following in your path.
Yeah.
You know,
and he's done quite well. He just got his second MAT award,
good for him.
and he's
Good
only
for
been
him.
there for 3 years. So
Good for him, man.
He's hucking and bucking.
I love to hear that he's thriving. I've always
Yeah.
liked the kid. He's always had a really good attitude.
he brought up, he says, ask J Mac if he remembers dropping his motorcycle in Bakersfield.
Oh
Breaking
yeah,
the-
yeah, oh yeah, big time, man. And then what does Danielle do? She's in a specialty.
Right. She's only been there for 4 years, and she is in their organized retail theft unit.
Well, dude, following in your
Yeah.
footsteps again.
So again, plain clothes, working retail theft, which is a huge problem right now.
Oh, dude, that city.
They've recovered close to $1 million already in stolen
I believe
property.
it. I totally believe it.
Yeah.
Your son-in-law, Johnny, also serves in law enforcement. What does he do?
He is in their magic unit.
Okay, so for the folks at home, that's the gang unit.
Yeah. And he's worked SWAT. He's on SWAT too.
Oh, so he's squared away.
He's squared away.
How do family gatherings sound with that many cops in one room?
A lot of cop talk, brother. A lot of cop talk. And that's what's nice about my kids being along, because I still live through them.
Yeah.
You know, I still get to hear the stories, and you know, it's nice.
You know what's so funny, man? When I was with Amtrak, my office was downtown Fresno. So I had to deal with a lot of the Fresno guys, and, you know, great dudes, man. But that poor city, dude, that's a tough city
Yeah.
to police, brother. You know?
Oh yeah. And she was fortunate to be in. She didn't work South Side too much. She worked Northeast and Northwest.
Okay, yeah. So that's
Excuse
that's
me.
bougie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good for her.
So she's got her 4-year degree. I see good things happening for her. I see good things happening for Garrett too.
yeah.
So they're both squared away.
Well, that's awesome, man. And, you know, to both be working at, you know, I will tell you this, and I've said this many times, and I'm sure you think the same thing. I think Visalia PD does it better than most. I really do.
Let me tell you.
And you know, anybody that gets hired at Visalia, man, I mean, we hire squared away people. Our training program is squared away. Our equipment is top notch.
Yeah.
You know, this is a good city to work for.
Oh.
And you know, and the fact that she's up there thriving in that is VPD times 10 up there, man.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a massive organization.
Yeah.
Your brother Bill retired as a lieutenant, and his son Grant is a lieutenant now. Where does Grant work? What organization?
Edmond PD.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a lieutenant there too. Yeah.
Awesome.
Which their rank structure is a little bit different. A lieutenant's like the equivalent to a sergeant here.
Oh, okay. What do you think it is about your family that produces so many protectors?
I just think that, well, it started with my uncle, you know,
Yeah.
or great uncle actually, but little did I know until I did research. But yeah, I think God is the one that put us in that position.
Yeah.
Says this family is going to do good things, and I want them to protect and serve the public.
You know what's interesting? My grandfather was one of the first constables in Pixley. My dad was a bail bondsman, a private investigator, and
remember
a
that.
bounty hunter.
Yeah.
He would have been a cop, but he was a convicted felon. Then there's me, and believe it or not, my daughter wants to go into law enforcement.
Is that right?
And so my family is kind of in step with yours
Right.
in a lot of ways. There's something about this career. It's a calling, but it's a lifestyle.
Right.
And I think if you're going to do it properly, you got to treat it like a lifestyle.
Right. And we grew up in it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
obviously we were going to go that route probably.
Yeah. What was the biggest adjustment after you finally retired in 2024?
The biggest adjustment was not having to get up
Yeah.
to go to work. I've been so structured over the years that I got to get up, get ready to go to work, be at work. I was one of those guys who was always there 30 minutes before scheduled time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was very regimented. So that's been the biggest adjustment for me. But other than that, I don't miss one bit of it. I love being away from it. I told somebody, I said, I don't want to put the uniform back on. I'm done. I knew I was done. And, so.
Well, I got to believe between both retirements, you got more money, you know what to do with.
Insurance, brother.
Yeah. But you know what? I will tell you this. I was like you, I kind of struggled for a little bit after I quit doing it, man. But then I became a PI, and then I was following around cheating husbands, cheating wives, and then I tried to get sucked into criminal defense. Dude, I couldn't do criminal defense. It just wasn't.
No.
It was not in me. And
I got asked to go back. Josh Roulette, a good friend of mine who's the assistant chief over the DAs, asked me to come back and do backgrounds part-time, which would be a good gig. And I initially said, yeah, I'd come back and just do them occasionally. But as soon as I said that, the anxiety started coming up, knowing I got to be responsible for going to work now. And I just said, the more I thought about it, I was, again, very appreciative that he offered me a position part-time, but I just said, I'm done.
Well, and also, Jeff, I mean, not many people last as long as you, dude. A 37-year career is almost unheard of.
Yeah.
It really is. And the fact that you did that, you never got, you never got arrested. You never got terminated.
No.
I mean, dude, that in itself is a win in itself, man. You and your wife, Jill, enjoy traveling the U.S. in your fifth wheel RV. Where do you guys go? Where's the favorite place you guys like to go?
Well, when I first retired, we went to the Midwest, Oklahoma, visited family, but we stopped in states. We spent a month on the road. Okay. And then we've been up to the Oregon coast. We went to, gosh darn it, Cannon Beach.
Okay.
Went up there, went all the way up to the Washington border. And again, we were on the road for close to a month.
You got one as big as Louis, like Mamie?
Bigger.
Oh, really?
41 foot.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
I don't think his
is you got yours nicknamed? I know his is Mamie, but what is
mine's called Christopher.
Christopher.
It's a Columbus brand trailer, so we call it Christopher.
All right. What's been your favorite destination so far?
Oh, I got to say Oregon has been, because I'd never been, and that I remember. But yeah, the coast. But this coming spring, we're going to go to New Orleans.
Oh, good for you. I've been there, man. Great city.
Yeah. So we're going to, again, have destination stops. And I'm going to go see Kevin Grant.
Oh, yeah. Texas.
Yeah.
Right?
And Jeremy Edgar, too, hopefully.
Yeah, dude. I mean, both those dudes, great dudes.
And maybe Jeff McIntosh. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's back there, too. Do they all live by each other?
I think maybe within a 2-hour drive or something.
What do your grandsons mean to you at this phase of your life?
Oh, to my wife and I, they mean everything to us. I mean, it's nice to sit back as grandparents now and watch our kids raise their children. We get to go and see them, have them over, whatever, hold them, but we get to give them back. So, yeah. No, again, it's a privilege to be able to watch our kids raise their kids now.
Now, does Garrett and Danielle both have kids?
No, just Garrett and his wife, and then my stepson and his wife have a boy.
Okay. Looking back on nearly 4 decades in law enforcement, what are you most proud of?
That I was able to do it.
Yeah.
To stay healthy. That's the biggest thing, is staying healthy.
Oh, yeah.
But, and that I stayed true to myself. I didn't get myself into trouble. I didn't do drugs, didn't do a lot of booze, get in trouble, that way. So, yeah, I always wanted, my dad did 30 years, and I said, I want to match my dad. That was my goal, is to match him in law enforcement. And he did 30 plus years. So I didn't want to be a quitter.
Yeah.
There was times when it got tough and there's assignments that you don't want to do, but you have to go forward. And
I would tell you this. I recently ran into a DA investigator that we both know. And, he's not happy, and he's almost out of there. But it's like there comes a point in time, I think, everyone reaches it. I left the day I turned 50. And, man, and I have a lot of pride because out of all those guys I started with, very few of us got to go as long as I did.
Right.
And what did the job teach you about people, leadership, and resilience?
That you need to treat everybody with respect, first of all, when you're dealing with the public and with people. It's not about barking orders at somebody. It's about being respectful. And it may not be a glamorous case to work or whatever, but being, there for somebody that needs your service. And that's what we're here for is to serve the public. And I see too many cops that get short with people and they don't have the patience.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing is having patience with the public. And so, that's the biggest takeaway from it.
You know what? Now, you got to do a long career without body cams, and then at the end of your career with body cams. No, you never had no body cams?
I never had a body cam.
Okay.
We had them in the patrol cars, but I didn't have to wear one.
Okay. If you could give today's young officers one piece of advice, what would it be?
Stay patient. It would be my biggest thing. Don't get in a rush to go through your career. I see too many young officers that they get in patrol and they're burned out within a year. I want to go to detectives or I want to go do this. And I'm going, slow down, youngster.
Yeah.
Do 5 years in patrol or 6 years in patrol. Then because you got 30 years you got to do. So if you do it all in 10 years, then what are you going to do?
Well, think about this. We got to leave at 50. Dude, think about these guys now. They got to go to 57 bro.
Just slow down.
Yeah.
Be patient with your career. Enjoy it because before you know it, it's over.
You know what, man? I was recently guest speaking over here at the college, and I told this class, there's a lot of people that want to get into law enforcement, and I said, here's the thing about law enforcement. You go to the police academy to do patrol. Then you spend the rest of your career trying to get out of patrol, right?
Right.
And because, a lot of people, the shift work can turn people off after a while. There's a lot of people I've seen that patrol ate them up, and then they went into other places and they thrived.
Right.
And then there's some people, man, that just, for whatever reason, they are not meant to do patrol.
Right.
And, but you're right. I always used to tell new guys, you need to do at least 3 years in patrol before you try to go do something else. Because guess what? You need to have, number one, the city on lock where you know your locations. Plus, you need to have all this paperwork down. You need to know how to properly write a very detailed police report.
Right.
And you're not going to do that filling out a 180.
Right.
It's just not going to work. Finally, brother, what's next for you, man?
Not a dang thing. I'm not working. I did my duty.
Yeah.
My time. And so I don't plan on doing anything but travel. And I got projects at home that I've been put on the back burner all these years that I'm finally getting to. So spending time with the family and traveling and, just relaxing.
Yeah.
Decompressing. For the first year, it was just decompressing.
No, 100%, man. I went and got a master's degree, man, and, and then a teaching credential. And I kind of thought I want to go down that road. This is where I need to be. This is me being in service of our people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know what? We're going to talk about something that happened to me in the jail. Right. And it just hit me right now. For the folks at home, so I'm working at Bob Wiley, and probably one of the meanest criminals that ever come out of this area. His name was Todd Givens. Well, I'm working on the 32 side, and for the people at home, it's 32 cells. It's administrative segregation. All the inmates have to wear these black and white striped jumpers, and it kind of denotes that they're in there for murder, severe sexual assaults, rapes, child molests, things. These are not. They're not in there for singing too loudly in church. But I'm working one night, and it is, I'm talking like it's raining cats and dogs, lightning, thunder outside. All of a sudden, all the power goes out. And so, it's kind of a scary deal, because now you're like, okay, and I had like a little Stinger flashlight and a radio and a pair of keys. I don't have any weapons, nothing. So I get my key out, and I'm just getting ready to kind of open up one of the doors, and all of a sudden the power comes back on, and I hear it pop about 6 doors. And one of them is Givens. And for the folks at home, Givens was in there. At the time, I think it was, drugs or something else. He wasn't in there, but later on, he did kill 2 people, got sentenced to death row. But one of his doors pops, and it's about 4 or 5 guys. And so I'm like, everybody lock down. Well, one dude locks down, and Givens used to tell me all the time, don't worry, little bitch, I ain't gonna get you, right? So this night, I'm like, lock down. And he's walking down the stairs towards me, and he's like, what are you gonna do, little bitch? And I went like this, nothing. And I locked myself in the day room, right? And so I get on the radio, and I'm like, dude, I got Givens out of his cell. I got 4 or 5 other guys. I need help, right? And so my partners get there and like, oh, Jay, you didn't even try, dude. I'm like, Givens could have killed me himself. I go, what am I supposed to do with 5 other guys that are in here for murder? And all I got is a pair of keys and a radio. Yeah. And but the sergeant showed up, and he goes, hey, guys, McWilliams did the right thing. He's like, and then we actually had to fight all those guys to get them back in their cells.
That guy was a monster.
Oh, he is. And then, you know what? They got rid of death row. He's on the main line, and he just stabbed somebody. Again, these are when the policies start to become dangerous.
Right.
Well, brother, I'm going to leave you with a quote. And for all the folks at home, evil triumphs when good men do nothing. And that's by Edmund Burke. And I saw it, and I immediately thought, there's guys like us that were meant to be out here and be in service of others. I wish you nothing but the best. You deserve it, Jeff. You're a good man. You've always been a good man. I wish your kids nothing but health and prosperity. God bless them for being out here on these lines, because law enforcement is a different beast right now. I wish, I hope they have long and illustrious careers like you. And, keep doing what you're doing, brother. We need people like you raising future cops. We need that, because I could tell you something. Law enforcement right now is in a real flux. Even recruiting cops right now, man, is turned into a mess. VPD, they're having a hard time just keeping up with retirements, brother.
Right.
But so good luck to you and your family. But so for the folks at home, I'll leave you guys with keep watching, hit the subscribe button. And next week I'll have another guest, longtime CHP officer. But anyways, keep watching. I appreciate your support. Be looking for my book in January. Thank you, and keep watching.